Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are a subscriber and if you're new, welcome, happy to have you. So my name is Nicole. I'm your relationship coach and motivational speaker, and I hope and pray that this message is a blessing to you. If you're familiar with any of my videos, you know that I am, a single mother, an empty nester now for a little over a year. I have a unhealthy relationship with my mom, a toxic mother, children's service cases, etc., etc. And I just wanted to give you an update and volunteer some information, and I hope and pray that this message is a blessing to you, because I know it's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of distractions around us, and the devil's job is to kill, steal, and destroy. So I want you to know how I overcame a lot of stressors, right? Like anxiety, stress, life be life, and co-parenting while my son's dad was in prison. I want to give you the blueprint. So if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I grew up with my son's dad. I'm an Army brat, so I traveled a lot with my mom. I've known him since I was 14, he was 16, and unfortunately he had a fake friend that he knew 2 years before he met me. So he known this fake friend since he was 12, right? God blessed me with discernment. So even though I gave him like a lot of, clues and constructive criticism, unfortunately, if you're not equally yoked with someone, it might be challenging for them to take what you're saying as good advice. So unfortunately, my son's dad caught a case when he was 6 months old, went to prison when my son was 2. He was facing 25 to life. So I had to give you a little bit of the background so that when I tell you this messy update, it will make more sense. So thank Jesus I never lost, rights to my son. Me and my son's dad had 50-50 joint custody because I volunteered, gave him a DNA test when my son was 2 weeks old, right? And so that automatically gave him rights, which worked to his benefit, because when he was in prison, every single year I had to go and get a notary so that my son could go and see him 3 weekends out of the month and visit him in that cafeteria. So he's welcome. So how I've been able to overcome so much and keep my sanity and not look like anything that I've been through is because I love Jesus Christ so much that even when it's hard to do the right thing, I'm going to do the right thing. And what that looks like is that I don't know my dad, and my son's dad doesn't know his dad. So even if we're not equally yoked, we're not compatible, right? We still have the son that needs his mother and his father. So I had to make a decision to let him have a relationship with his dad, even if it was from prison, right? So before COVID, my son could visit his dad 3 weekends out of the month. And my son is very grateful for that, and they have, a good relationship. Now, here's the blueprint. Just because you're nice to someone, just because you give them grace, just because you are understanding to them, doesn't mean that you're going to receive that. But God hears that. God sees that. So when the devil wants to harm you, he sends people. When God wants to bless you, he sends people. This is spiritual. So when God wants to bless you, he needs a person. So in order to receive a blessing, you have to be a blessing. And so my son, because I'm an empty nester, I've been an empty nester a little over a year, and my son recently turned 18, so I'm officially done with children's services. And I go to court next week, July of 2025, to get the paperwork because I'm officially done. So my son, even though he's had his own cell phone since he was 4, he's 18 now, unfortunately he doesn't have his phone with him. But he's with his dad. It's his birthday. So So I call his dad. And here is the mess, right? I tell him, you know, I don't say hello, how you doing, nothing, because we not like that, right? And I say, tell him I said happy birthday, because he's 18, you know, he's gonna hang out with his dad. His dad's been in prison his entire life, so you know, this is an opportunity for him to know him outside of prison. And he's 18, he wants to hang out with his friends. I'm his mom, like I'll always see him and, you know, hang out with my kid. So, and I'm empty nesting. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to live my best life. So, you know what he had the nerve to say to me? He says, "How did you get this number?" Sir, really? December 6th of 2023 is how I got this number. Your first day out of prison. May 18th of 2024 is how I got this number. It was your first day out of the halfway house. May 21st of 2024, we was in Children's Service Court. But you don't know how I got this number. Okay. But I'm saying this, people forget, like, my son's dad going to prison had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with my son. It was 100% the poor choices he made. He decided to have that fake friend in his life. He decided to hang with the wrong crowd. These are choices that he made. But when people don't want to take accountability, right, they will blame you for stuff that is not your fault. And I'm making this video, and I hope and pray it's a blessing to you, because mental health is so important. So I want to volunteer some information. So my son has a birthday party, right? So before, we used to do separate birthday parties, but it's like, really, like, what's the point, right? So he was already having a birthday party. So my son invites me to the birthday party. You know, I love my son loves me. And then his dad wants to be petty. His dad acts like he does a lot of bad cop, good cop. You know, unfortunately, when you're not equally yoked with people, it's going to be some unnecessary bumps in the road, right? And so, you know, he acts like he doesn't want me to come to the birthday party, right? And it's okay, because I will spend time with my son at another day. But it's funny how I never kept him from knowing his son. I could have lied to my son and said, you know, your dad didn't want you. I could have, you know, interfered with their relationship. I didn't have to let him go down there 3 weekends out of the month, right? But here's the blueprint. Whatever decisions we make in life, good or bad, we have to live with that. That's why a lot of people self-medicate, because they live in regret. So I knew that I wanted to give my son something I didn't have, which was a father, regardless if we were together or not, right? And so that's why I volunteered the DNA test when my son was 2 weeks old. His dad knew it was his. He was like, oh, you don't have to do that. No, because I know that he's petty, right? And so when you're dealing with somebody petty, it's about prevention. You don't wait till something happens to react. You go ahead and you resolve the issue before it even happens. Because a DNA test is kind of like a sign. You can verbally tell someone something, but if it's not a sign there, they're not going to respect it. So a DNA test, he couldn't just act like he didn't know. This is proof. You know that this is your son, right? Oftentimes, being a single parent, it can be overwhelming or stressful, because you can feel like you're doing it by yourself. And maybe, unfortunately, sometimes you are, right? Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. And so I wanted to lighten my load. I wanted to create a village for my son, because it takes a village to raise a child, right? And so while his dad was in prison, his dad had the opportunity to like call his cell phone, because he had his own cell phone since he was 4. And so it's funny how someone that you never kept from your kid can act like they're father of the year or something, when poor decisions have consequences. The company you keep has consequences. Now, I'm 5'4", I'm 105 pounds. My son is 6'3", he's 175 pounds. Now, he's always been a bigger kid. He's always been tall. I've always been small. I've always been petite. So when my son's dad acts like he doesn't like my parenting style, when I come from a military background, my mom did over 20 years. Her twin brother was in the Marines. I have 2 first cousins in the Air Force. I have cousins in the Navy. I have a cousin that's been to Iraq twice. We're not going to agree on everything. But I can honestly say I did my best. And that's the blueprint, and that's the gem that I want to give to you. And I hope and pray that this message is a blessing to you. It takes a man to raise a man. So he can't get mad at me for doing his job. And that's what people will do. People will blame you for stuff that they did. And that's why I'm making this video. I cannot teach him how to be a man because I've never been one. But I did my best. And so regardless if I gave him the opportunity to prove to him that that was his son, or to allow him to have a relationship with his son, even if it was from a jail cell, I gave him the opportunity because I knew that it takes a man to raise a man. And I cannot teach him what I do not know. My name is Nicole. I'm your relationship coach and your motivational speaker. I pray that this message has been a blessing to you. Jesus Christ loves you. God bless you. Bye-bye.